This probably isn't specific to you, but whoever you are, I hope you enjoy it anyways. And if you're finding that this is specific to you, please keep in mind that this is a fantasy, a selfish, unrealistic fantasy, full of shame, fear, guilt, and dangerous hopes, told by an unreliable narrator who hopes that you don't hate him by the end of it. So, why exactly am I never going to fall out of love with you? Where to start? Well, there is an indefinite amount of things I love about you, and that list will continue to grow for as long as I live. And I'm not listing them here because that's not what this is about. I think the pros and cons and comparisons of a person should not be listed. And we both know that I would get way too sappy way too fast, like wirt levels of sappy. And I want you to allow me 2 lines of that. 2 halves of a whole, the missing piece of my heart and soul. Alright, that's enough of that for one poem. Let's move on. A day in the life where we would be living together. I don't know where we'd end up. Maybe here, maybe there. East Coast, West, North, South. I know you aren't happy enough where you are right now, and I'm not happy where I am either. But you have people there who care about you very much. You have friends and family and romantic partners. Maybe we would go somewhere completely new, but none of that matters. Mornings would ideally start with cuddling, but would realistically start with coffee. And while I despise the general acceptance of caffeine addiction and the fact that everyone is on something all the time just to cope with life, it would, to me, be just another moment we're blessed enough to be spending together. In silence or not, it doesn't matter to me. We would be facing addiction, quarrel, and hurry every day. But none of that matters. We would probably live in a studio, a pretty small and run-down kind of place, and we would work separate jobs, maybe 2 or 3 jobs, and our schedules wouldn't align very well. It sucks, I know, but I want to keep this grounded. And while being apart so often wouldn't be fun, it would allow us to truly cherish our time together. Working so much would crush us and prohibit us from living as much as we want to. But we'd stick with each other through troubles, getting fired, or work-related breakdowns. Anything and everything is possible and inevitable, but none of that matters. And when we do have time to ourselves, I think music would be playing often. A whole bunch of different stuff. We're both adaptable when it comes to music, and we have similar taste already. I'd like to imagine you sing a lot, or at least I hope you'd grow to be comfortable enough around me to sing a lot when we're together, because you have a very peaceful voice and that kind of personality, and singing is fun. You'd be writing your music, and I'd be writing mine. Perhaps we would make some songs together. And I would love to hear you play guitar. You're very talented no matter how much you say you aren't. And a lot of nights we would play together. Not our own songs, covers mostly. Nothing too serious, it would just be in good fun. And maybe the neighbors across the hall would file a noise complaint when we stay up till the sun rises on a Wednesday night. But none of that matters. We would have pets, and we would give them a loving home. We would take great care of them, and they would inadvertently help us mentally because we both have problems and pets help with those. And they would live to be quite old, and we would never worry about separating and causing them additional stress. Nights would feel like mornings. Both would be inconsistent, hectic, and tiring. But feeling you get into bed after I'd been trying to fall asleep for an hour, and feeling us interlock, putting my arms around you, feeling your hands in my hair and your fingers caress my earlobes, hearing the biorhythms of your stomach and feeling you breathing, your chest rising and falling over and over. That would make it all worthwhile. But none of that matters. There is a plethora of positives that I haven't the time to explore. But as I said before, this is a grounded fantasy. So maybe a pipe in the shower would explode and get water everywhere that would later become mold, and we would lose our security deposit. Or one of us would break an arm, and my medical debt would only grow. Or maybe we would get robbed, or carjacked, or hit by buses, or we would both become heroin addicts. Or we would get AIDS, or cancer, or epilepsy, or our livers would fail. Or we would just have an aneurysm and die. But none of that matters. And I know I said a few songs ago that we can never grow old together, but maybe you'd look even more handsome with gray hair, a worn olive sweater that's been knitted with care, and those dorky, thick glasses that old people wear. And you'd wear the wisdom that comes with aging very well. There wouldn't, shouldn't, and couldn't be kids, but we'd have great friends who we're comfortable around. And we have mostly good times, but we stick it out with them through the bad. And seeing you smile, like really smile, where you squint and your whole face lights up, and I would be seeing you, and you would look so beautiful every single day for the rest of time, would make me feel like the luckiest man in the universe. But none of that matters. It's difficult for me to paint this portrait when I haven't even seen you in person. I can't really know you until then. I haven't had the chance to learn your quirks, your pet peeves, your posture, the giggle you hide from the public because you think it's embarrassing. I want to hear you gush about something you like. I want to see you blush, and the sound you make when you get startled, and how often you blink your eyes. I don't know what makes you laugh. I don't know what makes you cry. I wonder how you think you'll die, and what your favorite kind of tree is. But none of that matters. I know I have subjective flaws. I am perpetually early. I contradict myself often. I'm doing it right now. I get uncontrollable mood swings. I black out sometimes. I repeat myself too much. I can't find clothes that fit me right. I am terrified of talking sometimes. I have low self-esteem. I bury myself in fiction. I have never had a truly flattering haircut. I don't know how and when to give the proper amount of affection. I do not have a trace of jawline. I swear like a fucking sailor. I'm too shy and skittish. I have eczema and my thumbs look funny. I don't know how to initiate anything because I'm terrified of rejection. I nitpick the little things when I'm upset. I worry people without meaning to. I overthink everything. But none of that matters. And I know you have subjective flaws too. You are perpetually late. That one is very specific to me and perpendicular to my earliness. I'm not going to make up a list of any others, and it's not that you don't have flaws, it's that people change very often. I don't want to make you self-conscious. I am more comfortable and used to criticizing myself than other people, and of course, you're still finding yourself. And I know you found someone else too, and if they ever leave the picture, you would be able to find another very easily. And truthfully, I'm envious of that situation and ability. Sometimes, as hard as this has been to admit, to both myself and to you, it makes me jealous, angry, resentful, and empty. And I'm trying my best not to let those awful, evil emotions get the best of me. And I'm also trying not to replace them with substances that shouldn't be in my body. But none of that matters. And maybe the worst part about this fantastic story, in all its self-serving and uncomfortable glory, is that I know none of this will ever come to be. No matter how much I want it to, it will forever remain in my brain. And no matter what I bury it under, it will always be there. I don't think you want to hear this. I don't think you want anything like it. And I wouldn't want you to change and regret it and trap yourself in an unhappy life. But I think it would all work itself out, and I think we would do okay. And I would be lying if I said that these thoughts don't cross my mind from time to time. I would be lying if I said they don't affect me, and I would be lying if I said they didn't make my day a little better most of the time. Take this however you want to. I've never been able to properly communicate exactly what emotions I have for you. Even this mess of a poem probably won't end up translating the way it should or the way it does in my head, but none of that matters. So the question at its core remains unanswered. Why am I never going to fall out of love with you? Is it that I have attachment issues? Is it that I'll never have anyone else? Is it how familiar you are to me? Is it my inexperience with romance and sex? Is it the intoxication talking over me? Is it teenage angst? Is it that my loneliness has caused desperation? Is it that I'm holding on to the shadow of an arm of the one person who's shown me more genuine love and admiration than any other throughout everything, and my fear of being alone is making it impossible to let go of your hand? No, it's you. It might have at one point been any number of those things, but it isn't anymore, because I'm older and wiser and more stable, and I have a better grasp on every aspect of life. I can say for certain now, it's you. It's everything about you. The things I love, dislike, and get downright annoyed by. The things that have happened in your past, things that are happening now, and things that could happen in your future. The small things, the big things, the things you've for sure forgotten by now. Everything that's ever made you, you. The fact that, despite everything, you have made me a better person in ways you probably don't even realize, and I can only hope to have offered a fraction of what you've given me. And I need you to know, from the bottom of my heart, I love you, and I always will. And that matters. Good night.